island, and the chances are that you'll come across a naturalist, or as they may prefer, birder, botanizer, wildlife watcher, or nature addict. What are the giveaway signs? They might be carrying a pair of binoculars and gazing either up into the sky or down towards the ground. Every now and again they may pause and cock their head to listen to some distant sound, or crouch down to pick up an object to take a closer look. If you stop and ask them what they've seen, perhaps using the classic birder's greeting of "anything about," they're likely to be friendly, eager to discuss their latest sighting with another enthusiast. Having shared your mutual enjoyment of the natural world, you will both continue on your way. When we were growing up, such encounters were less frequent and usually less friendly. Most people out and about in the countryside were bird watchers, to use the old term, and it often seemed as if they had chosen their hobby to allow them to escape from the rest of humanity and indulge their mildly sociopathic tendencies. Just occasionally, you would meet a kindred spirit, willing to share their sightings and to enthuse about yours in equal measure. But meetings like this were few and far between. Fortunately, during the last 30 or 40 years, things have improved. Most naturalists are only too eager to offer help and advice. The former dominance of the older male birder has given way to a far more mixed bag, with old and young, men and women, families and groups of friends all out enjoying the natural world. This is a very British phenomenon. No other nation has embraced the natural world quite as strongly as we have. But how did this come about? How did the British learn to fall in love with nature? And what does this story tell us about the very varied ways in which we interact with the natural world today? For most of humankind's existence, the notion that we would enjoy nature, consume it if you like, as we do art, music, sport and so on, would simply not have existed in anyone's mind. Nature was present, certainly, indeed playing a much larger part in our ancestors' lives than in ours. But it was not there to be enjoyed, but to be exploited. As Genesis, the opening book of the Bible, explains, we were given dominion over the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Wild animals and plants were primarily there to be killed or picked and eaten, to sustain human life. Any consumption was purely visceral, not intellectual. Fairly early on, though, our ancestors began to view the wildlife around them in subtly new ways. Ancient cave paintings hint at a growing appreciation of nature. The cavern at Lascaux in France, dating back at least 17,000 years, is decorated with some 600 painted and drawn animals, and only one human figure. Numerous horses and red deer, bison and big cats run across the walls. The detail is impressive. The animals are well observed. Archaeologists believe these depictions were used as totems to ensure enough animals would be there to hunt and to ward against natural predators. With the shift from their earlier nomadic hunter-gatherer existence into farming, which began about 10,000 years ago, our ancestors' relationship with nature changed and deepened again. Crops that they farmed and their dogs, sheep and cattle were all domesticated versions of the nature around them. Now fixed in one place, they relied on watching the comings and goings of seasonal visitors, such as migrating birds, and noting other time-sensitive markers, including the emergence of insects or the blooming of wild flowers, in order to plan when to grow and harvest their crops and how best to husband their livestock. Birds in particular attracted plenty of folklore, some still around today, regarding their supposed human characteristics based on their observed behaviours. Crows, the clever eaters of carrion, were seen as evil, while colourful robins were friendly, and so on. Whereas many plants were enlisted as cures and medicines, some of which worked and some did not. One example from medieval times is birthwort, a continental plant whose uterus-shaped flowers seemed by the principles of the doctrine of signatures to have been signposted by God as a remedy for problems in childbirth or to bring on abortions. This cure was based more on devotional belief than its medical efficacy, but didn't stop it being grown in convent gardens. But none of these uses really touches on the way we regard the natural world today as a source of pleasure and interest, fueled by a spirit of curious inquiry. The first seeds of this were sown in ancient Greece and Rome by careful observers and thinkers, such as Aristotle and Pliny. After going into abeyance for many centuries, this way of looking at nature was resurrected first during the Renaissance and later by the Enlightenment two movements that create...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.